All right, guys, back with another episode of the Workbench, your resource rich weekly newsletter and podcast for home services and local business entrepreneurs. Super excited to be talking here with my friend Alex. Alex is the owner, CEO of Elevate General Construction. They have a really interesting model with multiple specialized services underneath the umbrella company. Excited to get into Alex's background, how he got to where he is, the businesses he's currently running and any actionable insights, of course, for you listening or reading this. So, Alex, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you making some time. How would you describe yourself? What would you introduce yourself at a cocktail party or a dinner party when people ask you, what do you do for work? How do you kind of explain your job?
Yeah, I hate that question because I never have a good
Yeah.
answer, and I hate saying entrepreneur. I hate saying business owner because it sounds so pompous. But what I've been saying now is I'm in construction, and the longer answer is a partner and I run a construction company. My partner manages the front end, so the actual trades. He's in the field. He's getting on ladders, and then I manage everything back end. So I'm taking care of operations, sales, marketing, finance. I'm in the office.
Got it. Yeah, and that's definitely there's the Steve Jobs Wozniak pairing where you have the computer engineer and then the sales and marketing person. It's definitely a pattern I've been seeing where you have someone who's specialized in a given trade from drywall to painting to landscaping, whatever it might be, and then they partner with someone who's more focused on the back end operations of the business. So definitely something I've been seeing. In terms of Elevate General Construction, what do you guys focus on? What are kind of your specialties? Are there things you do, things you don't do? What's your focus for the business?
So essentially everything. I mean, we can build bottom-up brand new homes if we need to. I think the space that we want to stay in is any kind of trades are under a week long to complete. And so right now the focus has been on roofing and gutter installation, on fence installation, on turf installation. We just got into painting jobs, so we kind of want to stay in this like under a week zone. And there's a reason for that. We find that those jobs, the margins make the most sense, and they're easy to give estimates for.
Yeah, I think that's a really creative way to think about it in terms of what jobs do or don't make sense for you guys. Why 7 days? Why not 14 or 30 or 28? Where'd that number come from?
My partner told me a story about a an ADU that he was building here in Los Angeles, which took a year, given permits, given delays, given work order changes, and the overall cost of the client was in the hundreds of thousands. But after all of this is done, his takeaway profit for a year work was in the low thousands. It's just the longer the project, the more there is for the estimate to be totally off by the time you're finished. And so when we have week-long jobs, we know that our cost of labor is pretty fixed. Any delays might be a day or two. It really helps us keep our margins exactly where we want them to be.
Love it. And I want to get into your process for specking out these week long jobs and which specific services y'all specialize in. But just taking a step back, it's my understanding that you started this last summer. So pretty recent, right? Although your partner's been doing it for 20 years. What have you been doing in your career up until last summer?
Yeah, great question. So, my background, I was in finance after college, and then I got into tech sales for a while. Then I quit my job for a few years, took the time to travel. While I was traveling, really got into like marketing, SEO, like learned a lot about that. And last 2 years have been glued to SMB Twitter and the idea that everyone is getting into the blue collar space. And I'm like, I want to be in this space. Everyone's going here. Twitter is like a year ahead of everywhere else in real life. So I thought that this is a cool space to be in. And the approach I wanted to take was I thought, okay, could we offer marketing services, like a marketing agency for SMB blue collar businesses, which everyone is doing, and some are doing very well. And we got into that space last year. We began trying to sell SEO and paid ads as a service to local home service companies. And it was tough. Like, not only are you selling to people who, it's mainly guys with trucks, right? Guys who don't believe in a website or answering the phone and try to convince them that they should spend money on paid ads and then spend money with us on paid ads was a disaster. We had a few clients sign on, but it was like constantly like I spent most of my day selling instead of like helping these companies build. And so long story short, in the middle of last year, I began talking to my general contractor here in LA about this idea I had, and he said, "Do you want to work with me on this instead?" Instead of him hiring me, we agreed that I would partner with him. And the way we partner is this: it's 50-50 for both of us. My partner has a huge network of skilled tradesmen in LA. Roofers, gutter installers, turf installers, and not just individual guys, but guys that have their own crew, their own machinery, their own 20 years of experience, they're licensed. They're just very bad at the operation side of the business. And so the way we're approaching it is we said we'd pick one vertical. And we began with gutter installation. And we said we would build a website, we'd do all the marketing, we would hire people to handle the phone calls. We would basically go out there and do all the estimates, basically do everything. And then at the very end, sub the job out to the person we partner with. And that's the way we would approach this business.
Really creative, and it's a theme that if you've watched or read multiple of the interviews here on the Workbench, very common. And it goes
Yes.
both directional. Either someone starts like Bodie at Striker Digital, starts with a dumpster rental company and then learns so much about SEO and creates his own SEO agency. Or we have folks like Alex Lathery, who starts with a website building
By the
company
way.
and then gets into painting houses. So really, really common. I think it's really creative because then you can know kind of all sides of the business. So when trying to figure out who to partner with, how did you go about evaluating that? Because that's like picking a spouse, right? It's
Yeah.
scary. You're getting to bed with the other person. What was that process like for you?
Good point. I always think that the hardest part in this space is labor, right? It's, hiring a web designer, getting SEO, paid ads, hiring somebody else. That part's easy. The challenge is skilled labor. I think I got lucky in that instead of having to find all of the individual people that we hire and sub out the work to, I just found my one partner. And I've known him for years. He's been our contractor for years. He's done uh, work for our families. And so and the cost to start was pretty low. And so had this gone wrong, walking away was pretty easy. I know it's not a good answer, but yeah, I just kind of looked into it. I found one
Mm-hmm.
partner. He knew everyone else, and that's been the push that we've been taking.
2025 run rate for the gutter business, $800,000. Customer acquisition cost, $240. What's the average job on that? What's the average job cost there?
2,500
Yeah.
about. Yeah,
Okay.
we have a job size minimum, but like for the for residential about 2,500, for commercial 5-6,000.
Cool. So give us the 101 on the gutter business. What service are you providing? How are you getting customers? Is it one off? Is it recurring? Would love to
Yeah,
learn the DNA of what sounds like kind of the most, the business line that's growing the most within the
yeah.
conglomerate.
So to get things rolling, we immediately ran paid ads. We're building an organic source of leads, and that is the goal long term. But that takes some time to set up, and we didn't want to wait 3, 4, 5, 6 months for SEO to take off. We also needed customers uh, to start having reviews on our profile for Google, and so we began running paid ads day one. And what's interesting with paid ads is if the numbers work for you, they always work across any industry. And what we found is that for the gutter line of business, there's not that many companies running paid ads in LA, and the ones that aren't doing it well. And so from day one, the phones were ringing. And also in this space, no one's really, brand loyal. It's not like they're calling their favorite gutter install company. It's the first thing they see on Google. They call. If you're picking up and you're out there the next day for an estimate and your pricing is reasonable, you're closing. So our first day, we close our first lead. And so paid ads right now is probably half of our lead source. The other half, and this took the first few months to build up, and this took new customers and reaching out to existing old customers, is we were able to get 50 reviews on our Google Business profile. And I think from there, we're averaging one phone call a day, which is great for us. We're booking every phone call to an estimate. We're closing about 40% of our estimates. It's nice.
It's great. Yeah, I think the paid ads, I know people steer or people are hesitant about it because if you become too reliant on it, it can really eat into your customer acquisition costs and hurt your margins. But if the numbers make sense, they make sense. And it sounds like a great way for you to jumpstart. So in terms of the ad strategy there, what were you doing? Was it user generated content? Was it still images? How were you targeting? What was your strategy that got you your first customer on
Yeah,
day one?
yeah. So Google is very easy because it's search term intent. It's if someone types in gutter installation near me, we want to be at the top of that result. And it's just text ads for Google, right? So it's just our company name, a few headers like free estimate or call for gutter installation, and then a few. I mean, most of our descriptions and headers are Chat GPT generated. I don't think the ad itself is as important as getting in front of the right search term. And so with Google Ads, what we found is you start with a very broad search term, right? Gutter installer near me or gutter installation. And then over the months of paying for these clicks, you start seeing what search terms are appearing that trigger your ad. And then you start filtering out search terms. So if we see someone type in free gutter installation, we know let's block the word free as a negative search term, or the word cheap, or how to, or guide on, right? So all these things that are more informational, not transactional. And so now we only target really specific high transactional keywords like I need to hire a gutter installer today. And so when someone hits that search in Google, we're at the very top.
What do you think of LSA?
LSA, I don't think applies for all verticals, and so I think gutter installation is not part of LSA. But for the verticals it does, I would be hesitant to use it for the following reasons. One is you don't really control the traffic. They see your LSA ad, they click on it, they call through. We like that with Google Ads, the customer lands on our website. So they get to see videos we have up, photos of previous work. They get to see our About Us page that discusses our team and that we're licensed. They get to see all our reviews. They really get to see like we craft what they see, and we feel like that we convert those leads much higher.
Google sounds like the core paid channel. Have you experimented with other channels?
Yes, we've tried Yelp, disaster. Um, we've tried Facebook, and I think we could try it again and do a better job. It's just very difficult because with Google Ads, you could really target intent well, right? If someone types in "I need a gutter installer," then we know that they need a gutter installer. If you're on Facebook, how do you target somebody that may need to have their gutters changed, especially since it's a need, not a want? It's easier for things like home cleaning or maybe a kitchen remodel where you see these photos and someone wants a kitchen remodel. We sell the need, and that's much harder to target on Facebook.
What's your experience been with the other third party lead aggregators like Angie's and Thumbtack? I've heard such mixed reviews, but I'm curious if you tried them.
Angie calls us once a week, and it's to the point now where we have to we block 415 numbers, which is like from the SM, like that's them.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, my challenge with Angie is each time we try, they want to lock us into a 12-month contract, which to me says if this is a high quality lead source, I'd spend an infinite amount of money. With Google Ads, we have a infinite budget. I can't get enough of these clicks. With Angie, the fact that they want us to commit to 12 months makes me hesitant.
In 2025, who's asking for an annual contract? You know, because if they
I
yeah, if
know.
they had if the leads made sense, they would you would go month to month and you'd figure it out. And if the ROI was there, you just keep paying, like you said with Google. So kind of weird
100%.
that, yeah. Okay, in terms of the process for you guys, once you get the clicks from Google or get people to the landing page, everyone I've talked to has a different process. Sometimes they're like Google Voice rings my personal cell and it's me. Everyone's different, but what's your process for then going from okay initial consideration via Google or landing on the website to then booking the job, getting uh, the folks out there to do the estimate, and then ultimately closing and servicing the job?
Yeah, great question. So the first few months, it was my phone, and like I wanted to understand what these calls look like, and I wanted to know that I would be answered within 5 minutes. 2 months ago, we hired our first full-time person that was managing phone calls 12 to 8, and then a month ago, we hired somebody from 8 to 12. So between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., if a lead comes in via a lead form, we're calling back in minutes, and if someone calls us, we answer every phone call. So immediate response time. And then for the gutter line of business, it's really a few questions. Are they in our service area? And is it a installation job or repair job? Repair jobs are smaller in dollar value. So for those, we might not send out an estimator. It's like not worth the time. We try to see if we could get a few photos or a video. If it's an installation, those jobs are the ticket price that we want to go out for. We immediately schedule an estimate. because we are sending out one of our estimators or a subcontractor, I don't have access to a calendar the way I would if they're my employees. So what we do is we say, hey, give us 24 hours. We will get back to you with the time for an estimate. Usually within an hour, I have our team texting, figuring out who's available. We schedule an estimate. We're out there the next day, latest, unless they need us to come out next week. Within 2 hours of being out there, we have an estimate typed up and that's sent to them. And then we have a really strong, like every single day follow up. And that's what I wanted to build out. And if I read some of the reviews that we've gotten that have been positive, it's been about like, hey, they've been so communicative. They've been over communicative. They've been very responsive. And that's kind of what we want to build.
Amazing. What's been the hardest part of building this business?
Labor. It's been labor. It's like even though we have a team of subcontractors that we use over and over again, because they don't work for us, we can't really dictate their calendar, right? Because they don't work for us, it's their incentives aren't always aligned. So we've had a few jobs that have gone not as great. We have, of course, have since been out there to solve the problem and make sure that the client's happy. But because we use subcontractors, quality of work, keeping a open schedule has been the toughest thing.
What's stopping you from hiring your own team and your own employees?
It's a great question, and we've thought about it, we've looked into it. The flexibility makes so much more sense, right? The Our margins might go up a little bit, of course they would be, but then I have to have a full time, two or three guys full time. Whereas now we have three, four jobs booked a week. Some weeks we have five jobs booked a week. Some weeks we have two jobs booked a week, and so we only are paying for a per job. And I think unless I knew I could get two jobs a day booked, for at least for the Carolina business, 2 jobs a day, 5 days a week, the numbers don't make sense, and the flexibility of not having to have an employee is way easier.
What's the number one business line that you either currently have within the umbrella or want to start in the next year? What's
Yeah,
getting you excited out there?
concrete work. And so my
Concrete.
partner, his background is in concrete work. When he shows me the numbers on what these jobs run for, what the margins are, and then he already owns most of the equipment needed, and so he would just be subbing out labor. The numbers make a lot of sense. And what makes so he gets excited about the jobs. What I get excited about is I type in concrete contractors in Google Maps in Los Angeles, and it's like 50 companies, all with two reviews. And so I know that once we start doing this, if we get 4 or 5 reviews, we're already like the number one company in most spots. And that to me is exciting.
Yeah. Love it. Cool, man. So as you think about scaling out the business over the next, year, 3, 5 years, what are you focused on? Is it bringing talent in house? Is it expanding the business lines? Is it simply tripling down on the gutter business? Not to ask you about your 5-year plan
No,
here,
no, no.
but curious what you're thinking about for the future.
Yeah, Brian, great question. I think of this all the time. What I'd like to do, and is I know this is like everyone says passive business is their goal. I don't want to sell this thing. If I could repeat the gutter line of business over the turf line of business, over fencing, over everything else, and I build a back office that just manages leads. We just hired an ops manager. She manages our back office. She's taking off a lot of my responsibilities. It would be nice to own this like 5 lines of business that are self-managed. Sure, my profit margins will be lower, by not hiring employees and really trying to scale this thing. But I'm trying to optimize for time, which I know is not the same thing everyone wants to optimize for. But for me, personal time is what I want to optimize for.
Love it, man. Anything we didn't cover here, Alex, that you wanted to get to or talk to or kind of share with the folks?
Yeah, I know. I just want to. I like. I'm on Twitter a lot. I see a lot of people discuss the buy versus build.
Yeah.
Should you acquire one of these companies yourself, or should you get into it? And I talk to people a lot who are like deciding between those two things. And if I give any advice, if you're waiting a year to acquire some company in this space, just build. I've never been on a roof. I don't know. Like before owning a gutter company, I had no idea that there were different kinds of gutters. And in 6 months, we built this company to what I think is very successful. So I would recommend highly if you want to get in the space, just find somebody who has some skill in the trades and build with them.
Did you think about buying before starting with your partner?
I did, and we looked into it, and I had some close friends acquire companies that have been successful. But when I hear about their story of acquisition, it's 12 months of nothing, of like searching and LOIs that go nowhere, and then they acquire a company that doesn't have that. And again, most home service-based companies are not reoccurring revenue, right? You install gutters every 20 years, so every single client is we have to like fight for. And so to acquire a business that doesn't have any recurring revenue to me makes no sense. You're just acquiring a website and maybe a truck. Much cheaper to build that out yourself.
Great points. For folks listening or reading that want to follow the gutter business, your umbrella brands, you personally, where can folks find you, Alex?
I'm on Twitter. I like
Yeah,
a goal of mine this year is to like tweet more about what I'm doing, and it's been fun. People have reached out to me, so I'm on Twitter at Alex-Workin. I try to tweet about things that I'm learning about or that I've found have been helpful.
amazing. Alex, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you making
Absolutely.
some time here. And yeah, man, hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Bryan.